Kyle Shanahan's lack of a willingness to go to the run game. I think Christian McCaffrey entering the fourth quarter with 11 carries is inexcusable when you're facing a Green Bay Packers team that
Yeah.
is the 28th ranked run defense in the NFL. Moreover, Christian McCaffrey had a 39-yard touchdown run with great blocking on that cutback play where he scored, and the 49ers elected to give him the ball once on their next drive. There was another drive one time after that. Christian McCaffrey got three
Zero
carries
touches, right?
in a very, he got three carries in a very small sequence. And then around midfield, the 49ers dropped back and threw for the next five times. It was, one was a completion, or the second throw was a completion, and then it was three incompletions, pass on first, second, and third down. That led to another, that was the one where they punted at the Green Bay 40-yard line. These type of things you should not be allowing. The 49ers in this game, and I'll say this about Matt LaFleur as well. I think Kyle Shanahan and Matt LaFleur both had the exact same issue down the stretch. Both teams could not execute offensively, and the reason, in my opinion, was that both were going away from the
I feel
run
like you're
game.
making a great point, but you just cut out.
Uh-oh. Are we good
Sorry.
now?
Yeah, we're good now. Sorry about that.
Okay,
I
but
was like
no.
invested in what you were saying, and then I was like, up, it just trailed out.
But what I was saying is that I think both teams struggled offensively because they could not sustain the run. Both teams did not go to the run at the end of the game. I think that was a huge issue for Matt LaFleur and for Kyle Shanahan. Ultimately, though, Kyle Shanahan got the last laugh because he had the final drive to find a way to get things moving. Brock Purdy, I think also huge credit goes to him for clicking it together. He looked frazzled on that second to last drive. That's what my guy Kyle Posey tweeted out. He did not look great on that second to last drive either. He was missing throws on that second to last drive. Like I said, the 49ers punted at the 40-yard line. But after the missed field goal, it clicked. He clicked, and he clicked at the exact time that you wanted him to click. Showed some good adversity for me.
Definitely. That's a positive way to spin it, right? Because I feel like the majority of people are going to spend a lot of time criticizing Kyle Shanahan. I mean, that going into halftime was insane. The using Juwan Jennings as a running back, deciding to test that theory out in a playoff game, I was yelling at the TV. But I did find it really interesting that they didn't get Christian McCaffrey more involved. I mean, record-breaking year from him going against a Packers team that defensively has struggled in general, but specifically has struggled against the run. I predicted that it would be and in the rain, and Brock Purdy looks shaken up, and one of your wide receivers goes out. I mean, everything was lining up for him to just run the ball down their throats. Why? What was his insistence on not doing that? Was it something the Packers defense was doing, or just Kyle Shanahan decided he didn't want to run today? What do you think?
I honestly, I don't have an answer for you. I don't think the Packers defense was doing too much different. I think that the boxes weren't overly stacked. I even saw some 6-man boxes. The Packers were in nickel for a good portion of this game. They had a lot of defensive backs on the field, and I think the 49ers could have easily exploited things in that sense. When you have Christian McCaffrey, who had 90 yards on his first 15 carries. I know one was a 39-yarder, but he was averaging 6 yards a carry up all the way up until the fourth quarter. That's something where you've got to get him the ball. You just do. And Shanahan sometimes, he was trying for some trick plays. He had a quarterback keeper for Purdy. He had the Juwan Jennings run. Screw all of that. Just run the football down the field with Christian McCaffrey, with Elijah Mitchell. And because the Packers right now, they were struggling to stop it, not only McCaffrey on his own, but the blocking scheme as well seemed to be favoring the 49ers. And so that's a good question. And I think they have to fix that in the next game, because something that I mentioned as one of the biggest keys for me going into the divisional round was the 49ers, or whoever plays, has to be balanced. You have to be balanced and this game showed it. Both teams did not go balanced at the end of the game up until that final drive for the 49ers. And that is where both teams faltered. Running the football was the key to winning this game, and the 49ers needed to do it more in order to have a better chance early on when they were struggling, especially because they were struggling in the passing game.
Yeah. It made absolutely no sense to me. And especially because, like you're saying, like he was performing well. Like it wasn't like when he was trying to run, he was always getting stuff. Like he was getting tons of yards. I thought he looked extremely productive. I felt like it took Kyle Shanahan way too long to kind of get away. They were doing a lot of those lateral throws to Christian McCaffrey, and those were getting stopped immediately. Really quick, because I know that I'm not 100% sure about your amount of time, but I want to go to the other side of the ball. I don't really
Do
know
it.
which one I want to critique more, and I know that we're being a little bit negative. Someone made me laugh in here, said Ashley was adding 3 levels to my stress. I tried to, if on Twitter, I really tried to be like positive, because I remember in the Eagles game when they started off, someone's saying, Ambry, we're getting there, but I have to tell a story every 4 seconds for some reason. In the Eagles game, when they first started out, the offense went 3 and out, the Eagles scored, and it just looked terrible. And I remember I was like really living with each down, and I tweeted out something like the Eagles aren't even in the same league as the 49ers, which ironically they're not, but I meant it I thought the Eagles were a better way. And then the 49ers ended up blowing them out. Well, I talked to Eric Crocker later on that week, and he kind of told me like the 49ers played as bad as they could have played, and the Eagles only scored 2 field goals. So I knew at that point that the 49ers were going to blow them out. So I was carrying over that optimism because I was like, Green Bay has played as well as they could have played. The 49ers defense has sucked. Their offense is lost on the field. And so I was like, they're going to end up pulling away and blowing them out. And then I felt so dumb, and I came back with full force, and definitely was like, I was like, I'm so mad. Like when Jake Moody kicked, I was like, if I ever see him walk on this field again, I know that he made the kick later on. I don't care. Never. I don't want to see him ever again. I hate him. I also watched this game. I think I said this earlier with my friend, and it was so funny to like explain everything to her as this was happening. Explaining to her why Kyle Shanahan decided to experiment with giving Jawan Jennings the football for a run instead of the star running back that broke records this year, was a little bit frustrating. Or the like, you don't want to play him? Okay, you got 2 backups who also average like 7 yards a carry, but why not test out Jawan Jennings, the slowest wide receiver you have? So incredibly frustrating. But going to the defensive side of the ball, I don't know which I'm more frustrated. It felt like the defensive line did not go home, but when going for storylines, I think Ambry Thomas, it made me sad. I was telling my friend, once again, she's not doesn't super watch football, so I was like telling her, he came in as a rookie, then his second year he really had a slump, then he was sat an entire year, and then he finally comes back, he calls his shot, he's been playing great all season, all regular season long, and then what the heck was with his performance today? Old Ambry Thomas decided to come back in a playoff game, the most important game. You lose it and you're out. And Ambry Thomas was like, he just panicked. He was like in good position, committing penalties when he didn't have to. What was your thought on the 49ers defense as a whole? Maybe you want to start with their secondary or their whatever was stuck out to you the most, because they didn't, to me, live up to their standard.
I mean, here's kind of how I view it. Overall, I think we've seen some lapses from the 49ers defense during their win streak. And then a few of those issues kind of came out in their loss to the Ravens. But the main thing to me is I saw 2 things from the 49ers. One, they do have some issues, particularly